Yes, you talked to me about the 30 governors. On the issues of defection, don't you think a stronger law should be passed to deter politicians from switching parties? Don't you think so? Because
I don't think the present law allows that. It's not that we live in a country where the laws remain on the pages of the book and the book remains on the shelf. We don't live in a country where the laws are seen as organic operational guidelines for the citizens of the country. As long as your party has not got to that point, where are you going with the mandate? So that is what I understand as the law. But today you find them all jumping into APC and saying that on the president's mandate they are standing. According to one Nigerian social critic, it's on that mandate they will fall. And in 2027 they will fall on that mandate. Yes. So that's what is going to happen. Now the truth of the matter is ADC wants to do things differently.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Talk with Ojeikere. Today, focus on politics. As we approach the 2027 general elections, Talk with Ojeikere engages politicians, party leaders, aspirants, and candidates from across the political spectrum to discuss their scorecards and their visions for the next 4 years. My guest for today is Comrade Christopher Ojeikere. Is the media coordinator of the ADC Edo State. That's the African Democratic Congress Edo State. Mr. Christopher Ojeikere, welcome. Wait, they call you comrade, they call you Mr. Please, can you, what's the difference between?
My original background is I'm a civil society practitioner.
Yes.
I'm a civil activist. That's my original background before I veered into politics. So that's why the word comrade has stopped.
Okay, because these days I see so many comrades, that. Yeah. I don't understand the meaning of it. I thought in those days, it was people under labor.
Only those in
labor line. Yes,
they monopolize the name. It's actually for everyone involved in civil activism and social justice.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for coming to my program. I'm really appreciative.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me there.
Straight to the burning issues at hand, electoral reforms. What is really going on with this issue of transmitting results directly from polling units up to the central server? Please educate us. There are people also protesting about it. Please, can you tell my audience what's really going on? Educate us. Thank you very much.
To put it bluntly, what's going on is the will of the ruling class, the obnoxious, nasty, disagreeable will of the ruling class against the popular demands by Nigerian electorates. Nigerian electorate that wants democracy to thrive, that wants our electoral system to have a profile that compares with any form of electoral system in the world, that want electoral integrity that will guarantee that the votes of the average Nigerian counts. That's what's going on. Now, you have an electoral act that has a provision that was practiced in 2023 and was a woeful failure. It was a woeful failure because of something. That thing was that the discretion to decide on what to do at the polling units if electronic transmission fails rests with INEC. And because it rests with INEC, it was subject to all forms of manipulations. Because now you are bringing it back to the human factor. The human being is inflexible. And in the Nigerian system that we have had from antecedents and precedents, the human being have always been influenced. And that election, the 2023 election, has polarized Nigeria to no end, created so much division because people felt that election was rigged and that their mandate was stolen. And now to avoid all of that, it's just a simple proactive step for the Senate and the legislators in the National Assembly to remove, first of all, that discretionary clause from INEC and to state, so that it becomes a matter of law, that the only means of transmitting results will have to be electronically. Not just electronically, but at real time. That is, that as soon as the election is concluded, it is transferred to the IREP so that it can be on display. What is there at the polling unit is automatically at display. And yes, and it's done electronically. Now, the Senate, especially the House of Rep, had agreed to a point. At least they agreed with real-time transmission of results. They passed that.
Okay.
But when it got to the Senate, in the first reading, when the Senate president, Godswill was reading it, first of all, he omitted real time. And then the journalist noted that, because that was important. It was an important clause that it should include real time. And then he didn't say that the discretion had been removed from INEC. So journalists went to town, published it, and Senate said the journalists were overzealous, they had made mistakes, they misread Akpabio. So it had to come back to the Senate, and that was when the eyes of ordinary Nigerians were opened to the fact that Senate wasn't about to do the right thing. What we wanted Senate to do was not to repeat 2023. It was to now make it as a matter of law that the only means of transmitting a result would be electronic. And therefore, if you say, for example, like the argument that they gave, that 15,000 polling units, according to them, that 15,000 polling units across the country, because we have 107,000 polling units, yes, that 15,000 do not have, network. Now, which has already been contradicted by Mikey Guinea, who has opened our eyes to see that in 2018, NCC, Nigeria Communications Commission, and INEC did a survey and realized that in Nigeria, we had about 98% coverage of network across all villages and towns in Nigeria. Okay, but assuming, without conceding, that you have 15,000 units that are not working, where you don't have network, there are other electronic means that work in those places. And that is why our ATM machines work. Now, BVAS, for instance, BVAS was constituted in such a way as to perform as one device all of these functions. BVAS can record our pictures. BVAS can record your name. BVAS can record any information you fit into it without network. Once you get the slightest appearance of network, it will upload automatically. Yes. BVAS also tally results. Here, IREF, for instance, does not tally results. IREF can only display window. It can only display the result to it, but it cannot tally it. BVAS could do it.
Oh my God.
So if you say electronic transfer has a problem because there's no network in certain places, you can use BVAS to do that job. It will still be electronic. Because once you feed the information into BVAS, you cannot change it. It goes into its program. Yeah. It goes into the programming, and the moment you have network, it uploads. Now, what is difficult in all of this? For a Senate that is supposed to be representative of the people's will and interest, for something that is going to improve our integrity and electoral profile, what is difficult for your representative to be arguing against it? So, and that is what led to all the protests, because what is signaling is that the Senate, for reasons which are known to us, wants us to have a situation where you have a large percentage of the election going on without electronic transmission. And that means that they are saying, in effect, that they want a situation where they can manipulate. Because, what stops you, for example, if you know that you have large voting population here, and then it's going to favor the ruling party, the APC. What stops you for colluding with INEC and saying that there's no network there, and therefore you cannot transmit electronically? And then you will now have to resort to manual register, which we know is subject to all forms of manipulation. Once you have it on the manual register, and then it leaves your hand and goes to the hand of the umpire, which is the arbiter and the final arbiter. Whatever figures that they read, that becomes and then they will tell you to go to court to prove that that's not the figures. So that is what is wrong. That's why Nigerians are protesting on the street, that you are not willing to allow for a process. Just allow for a process, which we have confidence in. Even if you think our choice is wrong, our representatives, we sent you there. We are saying this is what we want. Why are you against it?
Okay. So what is the situation now? Because I heard they went on recess. The situation to be back on the 24th.
The situation is that now, the president has passed the defective, unacceptable clause into law. They met for what they call the harmonization, After a while, they came out with exactly nothing has been done. They haven't passed any law as far as we are concerned. Because that clause had always existed in the Electoral Act. It was there before 2023. So what was now brought to you to work on? What was brought to you to amend? If you are passing exactly the same law. Now, the law, the way it is passed today, is that INEC still retains that discretion to resort to manual register when the electronic transmission fails. INEC still retains that right. So nothing really has been passed. What we have is still the same defective clause that was in the Electoral Act. That's what we still have.
So you mean you people just protested for nothing?
Well, not that we protested for nothing. We raised awareness. We called attention to it that the people who we call our representatives are not representing us. And then we created alertness in the citizens. Because, the moment you are against what is right, then it means that you purport to do what is wrong. The signal to us is that the ruling party and the ruling Senate do not want to do what is right. Because if we all know the parameter of achieving what is right, and you stand in the way of that process, then it means that you are walking the converse, that you want to do what is wrong. So we're going to be more alert in 2027 and ensure that we defend our results in the polling units. They have said electronic transmission stays, but subject to when you have network. So, and we are saying, somebody even suggested to them and said, look, you can go to Starlink and then you spend about 500,000 naira for each of those 15,000 polling units. By the time the mathematics was done, it came to just about 6.7 billion, which is no money. We are budgeting 870-something billion for the election. So if you don't want to use Starlink, use your beavers. What we want is a result that has integrity. Agents are gathered around the polling officer, and then we all agree on the result, and you feed it into a device.
It goes direct.
So that device goes direct. If you say you don't have network, feed it into the beavers machine. The beavers machine, once you feed it into it, you can't change it. It's irretrievable. So it will upload itself as soon as you have network. Why is all of this difficult for our senators to agree to? That's the issue.
Okay. Is it that some people are scared or what?
The ruling party is scared because they control the majority. And by the time they got to do their harmonization, their voices were louder than the opposition party. And then the speed with which the president passed the bill into the act into law would tell you that it was a premeditated, and pre-arranged. They were working to an answer. That's the fastest bill probably in the entire world that have been passed into law. It didn't last 24 hours. As soon as it got to the president's table, they assented to it. So the thing is that the ruling party is not sure of itself. And the reason why it's not sure of itself is because it has not been able to secure the confidence of the voters. It is disconnected it's alienated from the voters. Because, if you have popularity, if you are able to marshal out your arguments by your developmental parameters, by the infrastructure you have provided, by the paradigm of development that you have given to the people, you should be confident. You should be happy to be the president of the ruling party that actually cleaned up that section. Because that's the most controversial section of our Electoral Act. That cleaned up that section and take credit for it. But when you are disconnected from the people, when you are listening, the ruling party is just about a year or so older than, maybe about 2 years older than the president of America's election. Donald Trump is just there for about 11 months, 11 months. Donald Trump argues with what he has done in 10 months. It tells you about the price of groceries that have come down, how energy prices have come down. It tells you about how the tariff policy is making America richer. People are beginning to come to America to manufacture. Money is coming in. It's gotten the European nation to pay more percentage for defense and so on and so forth. It's even like exporting ammunition to NATO. Now, why are you not standing there as a ruling party and using your developments and achievements to argue? Why are you muzzling people? Why are you standing? How will your standing in the way of democracy now legitimize your winning 2027 election? What it has just done is to reveal your fears to us, to reveal to us how insecure that you are and how insecure that you feel. Because if not, Nigerians that you said should vote for you in 2027 are asking you to do something for them. You have failed to do it for them. It just shows that you are insecure. So it is that insecurity that is our problem. Because they have transferred their fears into affecting our democracy. The way we want to run our country, they are not our country. They are a passing phase. Tops, they do 8 years. It's a passing phase. What we are asking them to do is for our country. This is a sustainable development. It's for the nation. And the electoral process that works for us, works for them, works for their children when their children want to contest election. So why are they standing on the way? So it just shows their insecurity. You cannot use your phobia to stall the progress of Nigeria. And that's our anger. It doesn't matter which party is there, but you have to put sustainable developments in place. You have to put working machinery in place for the good of the entire country. That's what they are not doing.
Okay. That's you said. And why is ADC attracting attention ahead of 2027 elections across the nation?
Because
everybody ADC, they're just like, I think, labor of 2023.
Nobody,
if I'm not making it.
Yes, nobody forgets a stopgap mechanism that works for him. Nobody forgets, in quotes, a redeemer that saves him from doom or destruction or catastrophe. ADC became a stopgap. The trajectory of the present government was clear. Now, you found governors who were governors of their states who could not give you one reason of performance of the federal government. Yet, they would leave the party and the votes and the franchise that brought them to power and just move into APC. And then we are beginning to watch events. And we realize that the present government wants to bring to Nigeria a one-party state where it is a yes, sir. And they confirmed it to us. Because every time the president entered into a gathering, they sang on your mandate, not on their mandates. On the president's mandate, they all stand. You are in APC in Ebonyi State. The president got his mandate as president in the national. How is your president mandate your mandate? So we now realize that he will enter House of Assembly, who a constituent senator from my place will be singing that he's standing on the president's mandate. So we no longer have mandates. The mandate we gave to them is useless. That means they want to create a one-party state. The president's state, the president's mandate is the mandate of the whole nation. The president's party becomes the party of the whole nation. So patriotic citizens got together and said, no, we are experienced people. We are most of us are aged people. We've held public offices. So we really don't have anything by way of personal gains to make. But we have to leave a legacy for Nigeria and Nigerians. If we don't leave this legacy, we are failures. Whatever we have achieved in the past is right before our eyes being frittered away by somebody's megalomanic, interest. So they got together and then created this stopgap, which we call the ADC. They came together as a coalition. And to show the genuine intentions of this, it wasn't just one party expanding now from ambition. They threw the door open and said, look, everybody that believes in democracy, that have been able to see this fascism going on, and don't want Nigeria to go to a cataclysmic situation, please, let's come together, forget your parties, forget your personal ambition, let's first create a party. Even if you later disagree within the party that we have created, at least we have left a structure. We have left an organic, dynamic structure that grows. A political party is an organic, dynamic structure. Many times, in 15 years down the line, you won't even know who created those parties.
Okay.
Today, PDP, the G34, and so on and so forth that started the PDP. None of the names is still mentioned. None of the names. So once you create a structure, especially a political structure, it's dynamic, it grows, it has life. So let's create a political party so that Nigerians now and in future will have a structure to oppose those who are opposing democracy, to oppose fascism, to oppose totalitarianism, which is what the APC was taking us to. How can the entire government, they now have 30 governors. What the governor, one of the governors, let me not mention his name here, that by the federal slip, it fell out from his mouth when he said, well, we are all running to APC because we cannot fight the president. So it was clear that they were being muzzled, that the president is using state powers to muzzle them. It is even rumored that he was giving the 250 billion naira to each governor that defects. Because it's obvious. What is obvious is that they have not been able to give us one reason of development. What reason are you giving us? The president is a woeful failure in terms of economy. Nigerian rice of a bag of rice in Nigeria was selling in 2015 when APC government started, when they took over from PDP. They met rice at 7,000 naira a bag. It got to a time in this regime, in President Bola Tinubu's regime, when people bought rice for over 100,000 naira. Now, the fuel price, that is the price for energy, was just a percentage of what we are buying it today. Today, a liter, anywhere between 900 and 1,200, depending on where you are and which station you are buying from. Taxes and tariffs have been in the highest in this country since the country started, and yet there is no corresponding, not one single sector of the economy that you say corresponds to the amount of tax that we are paying. The roads are just as bad, if not worse. Airfares are worse. So what are the taxes? This is the government that told us when it was coming in that you are going to remove subsidy. Whatever he defined as subsidy, we all know it was a phantom, project that they were using receipts to collect money from federal government. People who didn't lift any crude, who doesn't even know what crude looks like if they saw one. We are using receipts to collect money, and then we know it was a criminal gang. Instead of fighting that crime and fighting the gangsters, he said he took it as in bravado, and announced that he was going to remove subsidy. We sent shock waves to our economy because petroleum tanker drivers immediately reacted, and that's why our inflation skyrocketed, and he has not been able to control it to tomorrow. Now, despite that bravado, we actually stopped some money saving from subsidy removal, as you say. Now, what did you do with it? Instead of applying it into capital projects, you have mining industry in Nigeria, you have the maritime industry, you have the steel industry, you have the textile industry. None of these projects, none of these high-profile capital project did you plow that money into. You gave it to governors. And like in my state here, what did the governor spend it doing? Buying all sorts of exotic vehicles. The man became possessed with exotic vehicles. So much so that the party chairman, the APC party chairman in this state, is using a bulletproof van. You know how much it costs to import bulletproof van. And another party chief say from the APC, all bought by the present governor. So the governor just went into profligacy with the money that was saved from subsidy that should have been plowed to the economy to create jobs and to reflect the economy so that you can have entrepreneurship going on. He did none of this. He gave it to the governors. Why? Because he wants the governors, he wants to be on the good books of the governors against 2027. So when people say he has policies, his policies are all geared towards acquiring power. The only policy of this present APC government is power acquisition. Whatever language and structure is passing it through, go and look at the end product. It's power acquisition. And when this governor got so much money, as far back as 2 years ago, he had already gone to put a billboard in government house as he was due 2027. To the extent that the president himself had to call all such overzealous governors to order and say, why are you starting to campaign 2 years? I'm just coming. They have so much money from him. So there is no intention, deliberate or otherwise, to say, look, I want to build the Nigerian economy for the Nigerian state. There is no such intention. The intention is power gain. So the ADC came out with all of this knowledge to the Nigerian people, educating them on what democracy is. That democracy is not a perennial contestation for power. Democracy is actually a management of the nation's resources for the benefit of all and integrative governance. And so let everybody come together. Let's have discussions around this political structure. And that's why people bought into it. And ADC, if you see the structure now, is bottom up. The APC is top bottom. Our base is the grassroots. We are bottom heavy. APC is top heavy. If you take a pyramid, what is on top of that pyramid? This is where you have the people. This is where you have the base. It's the base that the population. That's where the voters are. They are top heavy. They count their governors. We count our voters. We count our grassroots. And in 2027, it's going to reflect. That is why, despite the fact that you have 30 governors, you cannot give us an electoral system that will work. Because you know that if you have 36 governors, you just have 36 people. We have 3,600,000. For each of the governors you have, we are going to have to give you 10,000, 100,000 people at the base.
Okay, that's good. But there's something that's really bothering me.
Yes.
So I don't know how you're going to answer it as one of the leaders. It has been said openly by people like Patu told me that if Peter Obi is offered the vice presidential slot, the ADC as a party could disintegrate. So how can you people manage that? Because we've been hearing it here and there. And this guy spoke openly, Patutomit. So that's why I could call his name. I'm not scared. Yeah. So how can you people manage that? Is it going to be Atiku? Is it going to be Peter Obi? And the primaries around the corner. Is it May or June? When is the primaries?
Yeah, May to start May.
May, June, something like that. So how can you people manage that?
Okay, now this is the point. Patutomit plays a dual role. He's an activist and he's a politician. Now, he said that like 2 or 3 days after they joined the party. They joined the party in the East, and he said that 2 or 3 days after they joined the party. Patutomit today is the deputy to Chief John Ojeikere of the 50-man policy and manifesto committee that was set up.
Yes.
In working those committee and policies for the country, for the party, Patutomit would have seen and recognized a lot more things than he knew in that 3 days when he joined. The ADC is a very different setup. He hadn't known that we run an egalitarian party that allows the majority to take the decision. He was speaking from the antecedents of the kind of parties that we are coming from. But having studied the ADC now, so if you go and ask him now, he will tell you we are discussing that when the time comes, we'll conduct an open primaries.
Yes.
And then whoever wins becomes the ticket bearer. And the others will support him.
I quite agree with you. Do you think it will affect the party, the primaries? Because some so-called obedience that don't really understand politics, they are really like, if not Obi, we are living, or Obi are nothing. So I don't know. I'm not anything about
what you need to do is to cast your mind back to before Obi joined. There were so many incendiary statements like this. Obi can never join ADC. If Obi joins ADC, we will all walk away. But when Obi was going into ADC, they worked with him there. You see, people learn from experience. So by the time they realize the political dynamics and all of the chess game that goes on in politics, they will realize that once you do what is transparent, people are happy to go with it. That's what people don't know. When people are posturing, they are posturing because of antecedent experiences that they have. But when they realize that, look, these people are transparent, they believe in the system. That's why this electoral act that the APC didn't pass, they think if they have secured power, they have just ruptured it. The truth of the matter is that whatever shred of confidence anybody had in them before now is all gone. How can you have static governance and be afraid? So in ADC, we try to make everything transparent. We want to build confidence. So by the time they see a transparent primary happen, the obedient are ready for what is transparent, what is good governance, what is not like the old system. And that's why I insist in every place where I speak that ADC must give them what is not the old system and a simple transparency. So once we do that primaries and one becomes the flag bearer, we will all support. Because we have eminently qualified people in the party to be president.
Oh, that's good. Yes, you talked to me about the 30 governors. On the issues of defection, don't you think a stronger law should be passed to deter politicians from switching parties? Don't you think so? Because
actually, I don't think the present law allows that. It's not that we live in a country where the laws remain on the pages of the book and the book remains on the shelf. We don't live in a country where the laws are seen as organic operational guidelines for the citizens of the country. If not, I don't think you may have to get the opinion of constitutional lawyers. What I know, what I understand as a layman, is that your ticket, your mandate does not belong to you. It belongs to your political party. Rotimi Amaechi is a great example. He's still alive because the same Supreme Court that made him governor is there. Rotimi Amaechi did not participate in the elections. It was, what's the name of
Celestino
Omeya that participated in the election. But Rotimi Amaechi participated in the primaries and then won the primaries. But, the powers that be took it off him and gave it to Mayor.
To Mayor.
Rotimi went home and sat down. After Mayor had done the job, Rotimi went there and collected his mandate. Because the ticket does not belong to the party, it belongs to the party. So when the party wins, it is the man who has the mandate, who won the primary, that has it. So now, halfway into your tenure, you take that mandate and you say you are crossing. To where? The people didn't give the mandate to where you went to. They gave the mandate to you because you were the flag bearer of that political party. And it was that party they voted for. So it is only by my understanding, when the constitution of the constitution, when there is a clear division within your party, such as has divided the party into two groups, and then they are irreconcilable, then anybody can now decide to go elsewhere. That's it. As long as your party has not gotten to that point, where are you going with the mandate? So that is what I understand as the law. But today you find them all jumping into APC and saying that on the president's mandate they are standing. According to one Nigerian social critic, Peter Ahmed, it's on that mandate they will fall. And in 2027 they will fall on that mandate. Yes. So that's what is going to happen. Now the truth of the matter is ADC wants to do things differently. We want to build a party that is institutional, that is organic, and that provides clear departures from what all these people are doing. They are fighting us from every angle, but we are meeting them with superior strategy, which is how to go about it. In Benin City here, they came to attack our secretariat and try to burn it down. It was the people, not we. It was nights. We had all gone home. It was the people in the community who have come to own ADC as their party that rose up against them and chased them away before even calling us. Because by the time we got there, they have all gone away. So that was a loud statement. And since then, they have been so deterred. APC in this state have been so silent. We came out publicly because prior to that, the ADC chairman had threatened APC chairman, Jarrett Enebe, had threatened ADC in the state. He has said that as far as he's concerned, he does not recognize ADC. That anybody who says he's ADC will leave Edo State from there, that they will smoke us out. So when we saw fire and smoke, we knew where the smoke was coming out. It was coming out from the man who said they will smoke us out. So we went to town and then we provided the video. So the point is, if ADC is not the nemesis of APC, why are they so afraid of ADC? Why are they blocking every way ADC wants to progress? That's the question they have not answered us. So rather than those governors to find their place in ADC, they are going to join a sinking ship. APC is a moribund party. Its days are numbered.
Okay. I think we almost come to the last question. This one is does the ADC truly have the structure and capacity to unseat the APC, the ruling party? Bear in mind that the APC currently has over 29 governors, if not 30, and nearly 70% of the National Assembly, if I'm not mistaken. Can you people most what? Well, I just want to know.
Well, the first part of that question is answered by APC's fear. APC's fear of ADC. The jittery, knee-jerk, activities of APC since ADC's rise has answered part of that question. Now to go into statistics. What we did, which they didn't know, and that's what caught them by surprise, is that rather than starting to look for big men, normally, go and look at the history of how other political parties started. It's either that some big men, governors and so on, will come together. That's what they did with APC. APC itself was a coalition of political parties.
Yes.
ADC is not a coalition of political parties. It is a coalition of individuals from political parties. So, first of all, we have a binding ideology. All of those individuals have something in common. We don't want one-party state. We don't want fascism. We want democracy to survive. And Tinubu must go in 2027. They have that in common. You can't break that. It's a bond, an overt, a covert bond between us. That is why we came. We came like the way America was formed, from different parts of the world, Hungary, Netherlands, Britain, and so on. And then that bond, the American dream, that's why the country is strong today. So that is what ADC is. Now, having come like that, the attention was removed from us, because if we were coming with governor here, the attention would be on us. Now, having come like that, we knew that the only strength we would have is to go and let the people at the base, which is the grassroots, know. So we started preaching to the grassroots. Now ADC is bottom heavy, the grassroots. And that is why when they realized that all they were getting were governors who have lost popularity in their own states, governors who are generals that have no army. The army is not their language, and their message is not resonating with their followers. So you have army generals without army. We went there and took the army. Now, despite the fact that they have all come to, in fact, I remember when one of our leaders said, please let them go so that we will know those who are on that side and those who are on this side. What we now have, what they have created, which they thought is an advantage, is that they have exposed a power class that is alienated and sequestrated from the people, that talks down on the people instead of talking with the people. They have exposed a power class that is heartless, insensate, because the people are hungry and suffering, and none of this power class have ever addressed those issues. Rather, they are getting more power, they are after more power, they are after more money. They are buying yachts, they are buying escalates, they are buying jets, and the people are crying. So the people, they have helped the people to now form a stronger bond and alliance. If I go to Kano State today, and I'm saying what I'm saying now, I will get followership within seconds. Let them go and speak their language of power in Kano State, whether they will get any followership. And that's what's going to happen during the election. So you are going to have brother man holding hands with brother man during the election, because the grassroots have now been forced to understand that we are grassroots. It's no longer a question of this, and it's a question of the power class, the insensate power class against us, against our survival, against our subsistence. Okay, now the only thing they would have done to legitimize themselves is that they would have just allowed for that electoral act to be passed. Then we will know that they say, okay, you take the decisions, run it, whoever you think you want to bring to bring it. But they are holding on to that. And then the grassroots say, okay, we are holding on to our unity, we are holding on to our togetherness and our fellow feeling. That's what they are going to meet in 2027. So if you have a long line in 2027 of voters, whether it's Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they'll be speaking this language and speaking. They don't know which language to speak anymore. They're exhausted. So they are standing on the president's mandate, which unfortunately will end in 2027. So they will go with you.
Okay. Mr. Christopher Ojeikere, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Thank you
that.
for having me.
Any message for Edo people?
Yes, our message to Edo people is, with their eyes, they have seen how our women are raped in the farms, in presence of their husbands. And then after the women have been raped, sometimes many of them die from the rape. The husband is beaten to stupor, kept there, and you are asked to pay ransom money. We are seeing it in Edo State. The other day, they adopted two, broad daylight, in Oluku, near Oluku. That is following on the heels of the two young men who graduated from University of Ekoma, who were adopted in the University of Ekoma. They are seen on a daily basis how we cannot commute ourselves from one place to another.
No, but I heard the government today doing very well regarding the security challenges.
Edo State have never been so insecure. Look, I said they are now adopting in broad daylight. I'm quoting examples. The head of Vigilante Nuboha was adopted. Aisha, you saw her on social media, was adopted, and then the adopters brought her and said she should be speaking to the people, begging them to come and rescue her. And that lady was so beraggled, she was so distressed, you couldn't look at her. The governor was so insensitive, he paid no attention. It was a private NGO who mobilized to go and rescue her. And the private NGO came to tell the world that they asked the governor to cooperate. The governor and the government did not cooperate. As soon as Aisha was released, they picked Joy Ayeni. Nobody till now knows what has happened to Joy Ayeni. And so the story is the same on a daily basis. So Edo people know the insecurity here. Edo people know the hunger in the land. Our farmers, with their subsistence hoe and machetes, We go and farm, and then they are not able to commute because there are no roads to get to the farm to commute foodstuffs. That is the farmers that will be left after the terrorists have killed some, raped some, kidnapped some, and made them to pay. So the government that's why some people use terrible language. If they're not calling Tinubu Tipe, they are using all sorts of language, adjectives to describe what we feel and what we experience on a daily basis. Government has not so much as acknowledged one of these things. Rather, they will come out and be speaking inanitics, thinking that they are talking to fools, and then thinking that it is by bullying and by gerrymandering that you are going to convince the people that the people are stupid. We don't think. So that's the point. They have no message to the people. The only thing they would have done to assuage us was to allow that electronic transmission of results time. But that again, they have failed. So they are packing because it will come short. They will just come short of shooting every citizen in 2027. Every polling unit, go and mark it down, is going to be a center for democratic contestation. Democracy will stand defending its vote in every single polling unit in this country. 177,000 of them. So let's see how you are going to rig the election. So that's my message for Edo people. They know which party is speaking for them. They know which party has opened its doors, and that's the African Democratic Congress, ADC.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much.